So you're 2 months into uni now. The buzz of freshers has faded, the nights are drawing in, your work is piling up, and Christmas is just that little bit too far away. You've got this far, but as you go about your day, back and forth from lectures, or sitting in your room in the evening, you might notice that you're actually feeling quite lonely. I wonder if that's left you feeling quite disappointed. This isn't what uni is what you hoped it would be like. Loneliness can be really hard, particularly in university. More than 1 in 4 people say that they often or always feel lonely. So that means in a flat of 8 people, the likelihood is at least 2 people might be feeling lonely. The truth is, we all go through times of loneliness in our lives. It can be when we are physically separated from people, like we've experienced through lockdowns, but it can also be because we're emotionally cut off from people when we go through really difficult things in our lives and we just don't know how to share it. And moving to a new place in and of itself is a lonely experience, as you start out again with making new friends when you've left behind all of your family and friends that you love. It leaves us with a dull ache in our chest, and we look around and we see that others are fine, and we wonder, why are we feeling so lonely? All you want is to connect with someone, let them know how you're feeling. You want someone to know and understand. Our loneliness surprisingly shows us something good about us as people, that we are made to be connected to each other and ultimately to God. We are made in the image of a relational God. But it shows us that we are still living in a world broken with sin and disconnection. Relationships are hard, and sometimes we even feel distant from God. But our God has not abandoned us. When we turn our attention to Jesus, we can find encouragement and companionship in our loneliness, in Him, because He's no stranger to what we feel. In fact, when you read through the Gospel and we see His life on earth, it was filled with pain of rejection by people. He saw and experienced grief on a daily basis. His friends abandoned Him in His deepest need as He prayed the night before His death. He faced trial alone, He was abused and mocked alone, He hung on a cross alone. Jesus understands the pain of loneliness that we go through. And it brings us comfort, doesn't it, when someone comes alongside us and listens and understands. Well, our Lord knows and understands. As it says in Hebrews 4 verse 15, we do not have a high priest who is unable to feel sympathy for our weakness. He is moved with compassion for us. But Jesus also knows a loneliness that is far greater than anything we will ever experience. The Son of God, having been together with God the Father forever, was separated from Him because of the sin that He bore, our sin. His sorrows and pain made Him cry out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" That moment on the cross, Jesus was forsaken so that you and I would never have to experience abandonment from God. We are united with Jesus forever. In this life, we might continue to experience times of loneliness, but in those times, we must hold on to the promise made to us by Jesus. In Matthew 28, verse 20, He says, "I am with you always, to the very end of the age." Our God is always with us. He has said so. He will never abandon you. So you can trust in that promise even when you're feeling lonely. And as you remember that you are fully known and loved by God, that also means you can be fully known and loved by others. God calls us into connection with one another. He welcomes us into a family of believers. If God sees and knows us completely, then that releases us to be vulnerable with others. We can tell them how we are feeling. We can even say, "I'm feeling lonely." So when this video finishes, why don't you pray out loud to the Lord, wherever you are, and tell Him how you're feeling. And secondly, tell someone how you're feeling, even if it's just a message saying, "I've been feeling a little lonely recently, and I wanted to let someone know." As you do so, be encouraged that God is with you, always. You'll get through this.